All right, guys, welcome to Coach's Corner, the best part of the stream where we want to make you guys better players. This is something I'm very passionate about. It's why I'm a holy paladin in real life. I love seeing you guys improve, and we were just talking with Nimoy, one of our viewers here, who found last week's thing on key bindings really useful and really helpful. So today we're going to be talking about UIs and add-ons, and again, I could go on this topic for a long time because there's just so much to talk about UIs and different add-ons you could use, and obviously there's add-ons for really every aspect of this game, from Moonguard, Goldshire Inn role-playing to mythic rating at a high level, or pet battles, or archaeology, or just doing dungeons, anything. Really, there's add-ons for pretty much anything to make your game prettier. Whatever you want to do, add-ons will really help you. Add-ons are an integral part of raiding, especially raiding at a high level. Generally, anything mythic and some normal heroic raids and dungeons are designed around having add-ons. Now, some people, they want to play without add-ons. That's fine too. But when you look at how a lot of these encounters are designed compared to, vanilla, back in Molten Core, a boss would have 3 abilities. He would have a fear every 30 seconds, he would have a frontal breath every 20 seconds, and then he would randomly throw fire on the ground. That was it. That was a difficult boss. You didn't really need add-ons back then because the bosses were so simple. But when you get into a lot of encounters right now, Gorefiend, Archimond, Manaroth, when there is so much going on and so many timers, it's really difficult for a player without any add-ons to track everything and still play to their fullest potential. Yeah, we're old. Yeah, we're old, exactly. So a couple things I want to mention, right? While there's nothing wrong with using the very standard, stock UI, Blizzard UI, raid frames, there's so much more you could do with add-ons. Add-ons are a tool, right? They're not here to play the game for you. Add-ons are a tool to help you. We always joke around, add-ons are, a crutch for the unskilled, but we all use add-ons for raiding because they make things that much easier. And in terms of ease and saving time, your time is precious. It is a valuable commodity, as is mine. I wouldn't want to waste my guild's time by not using all the tools available to me, right? There's these add-on purists that just absolutely refuse to use add-ons because they want to play the game in its purest form, like vanilla. We used add-ons back then, by the way. CT Raid Assist and Decursive and Healing Monitor. We used a ton. So it started in Molten Core. But while those purists can use nothing, I will try to use add-ons to gain every competitive edge I can, to make myself better, to make my team better, to save time, right? I'll use add-ons for archaeology. I'll use add-ons for the auction house, boss mods, raid frames, whatever. And again, it's because that time is precious to you and everyone else. All right. So add-ons can help you, with your rotation. So if I'm a Ret Paladin, I'll give you an example here. Some add-ons can help you with your rotation. They sort of give you the best or ideal next ability. So if I have a training dummy over here, where's my training dummies? If there is a training dummy, hopefully it's this one, right? It tells me right over here what the ideal next ability would be. And that's great for somebody learning a rotation, right? That's where it's really helpful. There's other add-ons, again, helping you with archaeology, helping you with whatever. There's plenty of add-ons like Weakores. Weakores is a fantastic tool, and we're going to talk about that probably next week, which can track pretty much anything from your procs to your resources to, how many holy power you have. So here's an example. I will generate a few holy power. Sonar ping. Every time I have 3 or more holy power, then it will sonar ping for me. So I'll use my 3 holy power and spend sonar ping. And so, sort of like Pavlov's dog, where you train yourself to react to a certain sound. And a lot of raiders will do this, where if they have a certain sound, a giggle, a laughter, a honk, a meow, or whatever, they will train their brains to hit a certain key. You hear I hear that sonar ping, I know to use my Light of Dawn because I'm running Selfless Healer spec right now. So those things help a ton, an absolute ton. What is your thing here? Oh, UI philosophies. Yeah, this is another great picture as well. Yeah, perfect. That's similar to what we talked about as well. Okay, so there's different add-on packages as well. So ElvUI and TuckUI or Towley's UI or whatever you guys want to use, those packages are great. So what I'm using right now in my my UI for the most part is simply ElvUI, and ElvUI is great because you know, it does the whole map thing for you. It does buff tracking. It does bars for you. It does, you know, your chat windows, your unit frames. It does raid frames as well. It does a crap ton of things for you, and it's all in one package. Really simple, really easy to do. And that's fine for someone that's, you know, looking to overhaul their UI from Blizzard's stock raid frames. Sure, ElvUI and all those other things are great. But one of the most powerful things about these add-ons is that they're really, really customizable. So if I load up my ElvUI right now, if I toggle anchors, this is where everything is. This is where everything shows up. Okay, so my player buffs are going to show up here on the right side. There's my mini-map. I can move it anywhere I want. And there's grid lines for those of you really, really OCD people, right? Your vehicle seat frames, you know, your left chat, right chat, different bars that are showing up, or you're hiding certain ones, your cast bar, your extra action buttons, your focus rooms, everything, where you want those things. And you can obviously have them, you know, clip into each other, right? Or you can hold control and, well, I guess that still locks into each other. But you can, again, move these wherever you want. You know, there's a reputation bar. And this is really, really great, right? Because you can make it really, really pretty or sleek. And we'll talk about real estate as well when we look at the different UIs here as well. So just like we talked last week about certain key bindings being important, so I'll show you guys again. So last week we talked about, you know, your key bindings, right? WASD is your movement keys. The green buttons over there at the top are your most important keys. Those are the easiest to reach keys if you're using your left hand to hit your abilities, which again most people are. Then with different modifiers and cooldowns and things like that. In the same way, you know, your screen works the exact same way. The middle of your screen is your prime real estate. Everything you want to see, the most important stuff, should be around your character. Your character is in the middle of your screen, right? So if you're standing in fire, if there's something around you, this is where you're looking. Generally where your eyes are looking. This is where most things should be centered as well. So your more important things, your spell cast bars, your big warnings that something's going to happen, that's where it should be placed. You don't want to place really important things, you know, off to the side somewhere. You want to put the less important things to the side. Obviously, like something like details, right? Or your whatever add-on you're using for damage meters, whether it be a recount or a SCADA or details or whatever you want. Your threat meter can be off to the side as well, for if those are using Omen threat meter. Your chat off to the side, you don't need it in the middle of your screen. You don't need to see those things. Those things are cluttered. The best thing you want to do is really minimize how much clutter there is in your screen. The less, you know, crap there is everywhere, the more you can see. The more you can see, generally the better you're going to react to certain things. You'll see people moving, you'll see where fire is going on the ground, you'll see yourself standing in the fire, you'll be a lot more proactive as well. Okay, so we want to make sure that the middle of your screen, you know, is pretty clean. I mean, obviously, if you're running with no UI like this, and I've seen some players with no UI or very minimal bars, you see a lot more that's going on. You know, for me, and Sabito makes a great point here, you don't need to really see the damage meters during a fight. You can have it hide during a fight and then pop it up afterwards, because again, it's precious real estate. The more of your screen you can see, the more fire you can see, the more of things going on. That's the goal. So, you know, your important boss mods, your boss timers should be somewhere near the middle, and the less important ones off to the side here. Now, I'm going to give you guys an example here of a couple different UIs, and some of you, the viewers have sent them to me, and I'll give some comments on these as well. Let's see here. This is a pretty decent example. Whose UI is this? I can't recall. Pretty sure this is one of my viewers. All right, this UI. And it's got a couple things. All right, so here's their UI. You can see at the top left and the top right, clearly they were working on Mythic Zul'Harak. You know, they had a really giant weak aura made for themselves. A Fel Surge was happening, or Void Surge was happening, or casting, or if they had the debuff as well, for them to run out. Potentially they had issues running those abilities out. You can see in the middle of their screen, and I'll sort of draw things here for you guys. You can see in the middle of their screen, right here, this is where he's tracking most of his more important and weak auras. His procs, heroic strikes, shield walls, everything that is up is in the middle of his screen. My only issue is, you know, he can't really see his feet where he's standing. That being said, well, I guess you can sort of see his feet, but again, all in the middle of his screen. He's got his legendary ring weak auras over here, close by. Sure, that's fine. Quest, nobody really cares about this kind of stuff. Raid Rooms would have to be in a good spot as well. Because as a tank, you know, you should be able to see, you know, what your other players, if they have threat on something, you need to taunt something, and using raid frames is also, you know, really good for that. You know, different kind of raid frames. So that is one right there. I think that was Biggie Sweet, I'm pretty sure, his UI. And again, he's a big weak aura fan. Weak auras is an extremely powerful tool. Super great to use. I'll show you guys another one here. This is a great example of a very minimalistic UI. And this is, I can't remember whose UI. I don't know, it's again one of our viewers or one of our Zeros to Heroes. Very, you know, very minimalistic. Lots to see, right? You'll see what's going on. I'm sure the raid frames are probably in the middle of the screen. I probably should subscribe to that. Somewhere right over here, I'm guessing. And that would be a good spot for them because this is where your eyes gravitate towards, right? This section right here. He's got his, I'm using a variation of my UI here. Weak auras are up there. You know, every one of these things are keybound, but again, using the middle of the screen is nice and clear. And then anytime boss abilities would come up would probably be around here or over here when they are being cast. So very minimalistic. Yeah, this is Nuck Mages, thank you. And this is a great UI, right? Because it's so minimalistic. And you know, as you do more raid leading, your raid UI might clutter up a bit, but we'll talk about it anyway. Here's another one. This is Conrad's. Conrad is a tank for Zeros to Heroes, and obviously he has at the very top of his screen there, he's, in case he's missing Righteous Fury for whatever reason, it's a big weak aura that says, hey, you're missing Righteous Fury, you're not going to have threat on anything. He's got a couple of weak auras there in the middle of his screen. I mean, look at his UI. His buttons are tiny, which is my issue, but you know, his damage meters off to the right side, very small. I mean, nobody cares about damage meters during a boss fight anyway. That is not what you are looking at, and not what you should be looking at during a boss fight. You are looking at the middle of your screen, where your character is, what's going on, what you need to interrupt. That's where your eyes are focused. So he's got his holy power, he's being tracked, his procs, his abilities, things on cooldown, again, in the middle of his screen. So in essence, that is a great UI too. Yeah, I mean, I have a very similar UI, or weak aura as well for when I change specs. And where is my Seal of Light here? I don't know where it is. But basically, oh, there it is. My Seal of Light will have a big thing here when I don't have it equipped. There. So in the middle of my screen, really obnoxious, is this Seal of Light icon. In case I change talents, in case I change specs, and my Seal of Light is not up. Kitsuki here has a great UI apparently too. This is another great example of a pretty solid UI where things are centered around your character. And this is great because you see, I mean, you see more of what's going on. And this is perfect because, again, in the middle of the screen, and I'll give you guys an example. And these, again, are examples. There's no right UI, guys. It's whatever works for you. It is whatever works for you is totally fine. Here, Katsuki, obviously, middle of her screen, she's got her target here, or sorry, herself here with whatever, you know, her runes, different runes and how much she's generating. Her target on this side, again, close to, she's tracking debuffs as well. You can see the little timers right here of the things. More debuffs here. Again, abilities in the middle of her screen, and her raid frames. You can see one here, there's her pet frame. I'm guessing the rest would be somewhere over here. Unimportant things, chat, you know, damage meters off to the side, and more of her timers would pop up as well. So again, pretty standard setup. This is what most players will do, but there is no, again, no best thing to do. You'll take a look at some other UIs which can be really clunky. Here, I'll give you guys an example of SCO's UI, and a lot of people give SCO a lot of flack for his UI, or Psycho Mantis, our tank, because there's so much crap on their screen. You know, old school player, yes, but so much damn crap, and obviously SCO's dreamy faces there. But yeah, I mean, this is him on Zul'Harak, right? He's tracking on the left side. This is an actual boss fight. It's not all potential weak auras. These are the ones that are currently active right now. So his shield block, you can see, let me just draw this again for you guys. You can see, you know, which abilities he's tracking, all these little things. Every one of these are potential things he's looking at, but he's also trained himself to watch for those things. He's got his debuffs here, debuff here, his target, right, which is, and the target of target over here, his pretty face over here, and again, you know, less important things, which is damage meters, but threat important for a tank. So, you know, these are, and again, if you look at, you know, the boss's HP bars here, things that are going to happen next. So again, he's looking in the middle of his screen. He's got his raid frames on the top left side. In the middle of his screen, he's got, you know, what things are happening. So Void Strike right here. What's going to happen next? The next abilities. Again, close to the middle of his screen, Stable Void Fiends, then Fell Strike, then he's casting Withering Gaze, then Imps. Right? All in that order. It's a sequential order here. You can see how many seconds are left on each of these little abilities. And then things that are not going to happen for a while, right? Right over here, the longer duration ones, so 30, 40 seconds until it happens. So this UI may not work for everybody. I'm sure he's trained himself to make this work for him. I'm sure his buttons are keybound because you don't really see much of his action bars. He knows exactly what he's pressing. Well, even some of his keybinds are right here. You can see Shift F and 2 and 3. And so some of his things are there. That being said, you don't want to have a super clutter UI, and this might trigger some people's OCDs where this is how some people have actually played. I shit you not, this is some people's playing. So this guy here, this guy here, I mean, his name is Nightboy, as you can see here. He's got his target's target, all the buffs of his target, and the debuffs of his target's target. He's got raid frames here for grid, but he's also got, you know, all the other 5 groups over here. And what are they doing? Gruul something? I don't even know what boss they're doing here. Level 70, so this must have been Burning Crusade. Yeah, Gruul's Lair. That's what it looked like. He's got some meters here, got more meters over here. All of his action bars. I'm sure he's playing on a really crappy laptop or a really small screen, but you don't need to see this thing. Like, why would you need to see the next 25 minutes of Blessing of Wisdom? Why? Why do you need to see these things? Buffs and tracking. You don't. You don't need to see this thing. Put it off to the side somewhere, which is one of the reasons that an add-on like LVY does all those things. Look, it's tracking if I have stats or not. Do I have stats? Right, let me buff stats here. There. Buff stats. Perfect. Taken. Right? That's all I need to see. I need to see all of these buffs grayed out. I don't need to see giant buffs everywhere else. Right? Other little things, yeah, Brawling Champion and Sign of Battle, those are the other big buffs that I have right now. And debuffs are tracked in different sections. So that's off away. I don't need to see those things happening all the time. Right? Debuffs. You don't, right? What's going on? What fight is this? I know it's an ogre. I'm pretty sure they're Alliance, and that's about it. So this is something you really want to avoid, and this is really excessive clutter. I'm sure most players don't play like this, but a lot of players did, and then eventually started switching to more and more minimalistic UIs. Which one was next here? The big thing about those minimalistic UIs, and who had another big one here? Visions? Which one was Visions? Let me pull it up here. Vanish Rogue, sorry. Vanish Rogue, your UI. This is a pretty decent one as well. Let me pull it up here for you guys. Oop, shit. Okay. And again, same sort of thing. Things in the middle of his screen that are important. Already he's tracking his combo points, his Shadow Dance timer, his other crap, his procs and things on the left side here. Debuffs will likely be on the right side. Tracking the uptimes on his poisons, on his bleeds, everything else on top of his raid frames, right? This is, again, a very good, sleek UI. The more you can see on your screen of the actual battlefield, the better. You want to have a high field of view or high field of vision for everything else here. So, Perfect. We'll move on from there. So again, try to make your UIs nice and clean. You want to have, you know, these things as clean as possible. The more easily you can see fire everywhere on the ground, the more easily you will dodge it, the less damage you will take, and that is something that will make you a better raider. The more you can see. If you see that fire creeping towards you on Archimond, if you see it coming towards you slowly, you'll know to avoid it, right? But if your UI is covering, you know, all those things up, and you don't see it as well, you've got a terrible position, then you'll likely take more damage, right? Which, what happens when you take more damage? The potential of you dying, the potential of your raid wiping is higher. So sleeker UIs, you know, more minimalistic UIs do help out a ton, but you want to track whatever resources are important to you. This is, you know, Yendars, sure, Yendars, you know, very similar. So this one is more getting into mythic UIs as well. And this one, again, is tracking on the left side. You can see the boss frames. On the far left side, you can see the raid frames. You got some cooldowns there. And one thing that takes up a lot of real estate these days is an add-on called Angry Assignments, which is basically got a notepad. You can have notes for what's going to happen for cooldowns after cooldowns after cooldowns. And this is, again, it's an add-on. And for a fight that is 12 minutes long, are you going to remember which devotion aura is yours, which interrupt you're going with? Right? Every single time, you know, which stuns, shockwaves, whatever. A fight like Archimond, or maybe, you know, when you're progressing on Zul'Harak or Gorefiend, or which order should you take the souls on Gorefiend? How are you going to remember those things? Again, it's using, you know, it's limited brain power, right? You're focusing your attention elsewhere when it should be not standing in fire on your rotation and then what's going on around you. You shouldn't have to focus on, you know, when I'm going to hit my big cooldowns or my timers or whatever. That's what we had, those little reminders, you know, those little notepads. Angry Assignments is great for that. Healers are yeah, no. So I'm going to give you guys a couple examples here of why add-ons are super, super useful. So I will use an example fight here. This is me on Mythic Gorefiend, and I'm sort of go step by step here for a couple minutes, and I'll explain what's going on in my UI every step of the way. And I can't draw on this one, unfortunately. So you can see here the fight has started. On the right side of my screen, there's a radar. Okay, well, why do I need a radar on Gorefiend? Well, there's an ability that basically splashes damage. If I'm standing too close to somebody else, that damage will splash off of me onto somebody else, increasing the damage taken. So I want to make sure I am 5 yards away. There's a little thing that says 5 yards from every other player. And you'll see it turn red if I'm too close to somebody. My standard UI here, one of the big buffs I'm tracking is on the left side, my Intuition's Gift, which is my holy proc. You can see next ability going to happen, Touch of Doom. It's near the center of my screen. Touch of Doom happens. All right, Touch of Doom happens. And I get a weak aura on my screen. Brain Dead actually cloaked. Let's go back a couple seconds here. So we're going to pull in a second. Come on, pull faster there. Okay, so Touch of Doom is about to happen. All right, right here. So I see Touch of Doom has now happened. Touch of Doom is the ability that throws those big pools of crap on Gorefiend, right? And what you want to do is put him in a good position. So what this does is it tracks the timer of the 3 people that have Touch of Doom. Now, how do you take less damage from Touch of Doom? Well, you split them up as far as possible. If you have 2 Touch of Dooms run to the same spot, you take a lot more damage. So by using a weak aura at the very top left, the top there, you see the 3 8s. And he's going to cloak his. There. So now we only 2 Touch of Dooms coming out. And then it's green. So now I am far enough away that I will take minimal damage from Touch of Doom because it does a raid-wide damage. Here, you know, I have Touch of Death on me, or Shadow of Death. So it's on Branhista and Sparty. You can see who it's on. Shared Fate, which is that linking ability, who it's on, right? A raid leader can sort of see those things. And I've got a weak aura that says, move to the death spot, Sparty. We have 2 death spots on Gorefiend. One is for DPS at skull marker, one is for healers at green marker. So it makes it a little bit easier in terms of breaking people out, right? We want to break out healers and DPS differently. So here, Brian and myself are standing together, and then we get teleported into the stomach phase here. All right, so there I stun and add. Here I am healing the little tortured essences, healing away. On the left side of my screen, you see a weak aura that says time left. I have 22 seconds now until I die. If I don't get broken out, I will absolutely die. So that is how long my friends have to break me out. And on the left side there, you can use weak auras, boss mods. There's a timer for everybody that is in the stomach phase with me. So myself and Bran are down here, Bunsworth and Ganor as well, and they have 25.4 seconds. And obviously, a lot of guilds have issues with this fight, is you want to break people out roughly at the 5-second marker, 4-second marker, 3-second marker. And you place after, and you're probably cutting it too close. But if you break people out too early, with 20 seconds remaining, then the fight will spiral into more of a domino effect. In addition, you can see the 7 there on a bar. That is my Avenging Wrath. So I'm tracking my healing cooldown, how long I have on my healing cooldown to use, to blow my big cooldowns on these tortured essences. So here I've got 7 seconds left. Got that one. Yeah, doing that one, and they're going to break me out here with 2 seconds remaining. That was really good on our DPS. Touch of Doom happens again, and you see my range right on the right side there was red because when we all spawn at the same spot. We have to spread out from that point. So I want to make sure that, again, there's shared fate. And so one of the add-ons, it draws a line. Let's go back a second here. One of the add-ons draws a line. Here comes shared fate. 2, 1, of where I should run. You see? There's an arrow on my screen, a big HUD that says, run this way to break that ability. And you can see everybody else here. So who else has it? So Ariana, Branhisa, Shadowlurk, and Sparty. Okay. So we're all going to run over to this person right here. It's broken, and I'm going to run out and watch my range radar, right? I want to make sure it's green at all times to minimize potential raid damage. I stood there too close to the little spiral. I took damage as well. Ganor is right behind me, always up my butt, and then we know that we're too close to each other, so we start moving away from each other. One other there. All right. There's a really, really good one. So I've got another weak aura. Again, weak aura is such a powerful tool and add-on. Check what happens here. Right there, essence spawning. Well, when those healer adds on Gorefiend, when they reach the middle, how do you know when they pop up? There's a weak aura that says, hey, there's an essence spawning, DPS, get ready to kill it. So that's where I would say, as a raid leader, hey guys, essence spawning. I'm going to look around on my screen here, and where's the essence? There, the far backside. Far backside is where she starts casting from, and there's another essence spawning as well. And so you can see her casting, and the more she's casting, well, the more damage we take, the more chance for wiping. So again, this is a good add-on for your DPS to remember, hey guys, let's do a hard switch to those essences. Another one spawning here, it's the middle of the room. We want to kill her before she gets any casts off. She got 1 cast off there, kill her before she gets the 2nd off. Oh, we did really poorly there. Yeah, our DPS didn't switch. And there's Feast of Souls, and at this point, the range radar goes away because it's not important to be away or too close to people. So again, that is one way that these add-ons do help. And on a fight like this, and I'll pop up in my screen here, Angry Assignments. Where are you? Toggle window. So on Gorefiend, right? We announce what cooldown. So the first few seconds, Lurchy does a smoke bomb, and we have Tree of Life. Then we do VE, AG, AMZ, or AMZ, sorry, Americans. Then next we have Brand's SLT, My Avenging Wrath, right? And we have cooldowns set up for every step of the way to make sure we have damage-reducing cooldowns as well as healing throughput cooldowns every step of the way, and then who's sacrificing right now. So that was more for progression, but we have, these Angry Assignments set up for a lot of these bosses, right? Mythic Sokathar. Where's Mythic Sokathar? Gruul, right? When we're doing Gruul, which groups are doing what? Okay, so you want to do Gruul. Well, you need to use your Hand of Protections or your Hand of Sacs, your Purities, your Pain Suppressions. How are you going to remember? Of the 25 times you have to use a cooldown, and you have to get it right every single time, or else you're going to wipe. This is, again, something that helps out, right? So here we used on Gruul, Deadman and Psycho Tanking. When we use Iron Bark, who would use Sacrifice? Who would use Blessing Protection, right? When you do SLT. And those are things that really, really help you in terms of raiding. What did you rate here? Tell Me When is fine. However, I purposely always recommend weak auras because it helps for sharing in raids. Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine as well. I agree. I mean, people like Tell Me When, and that is totally fine. But weak auras allows you to share these things, whether they be buffs or negative things or things to track as well. And we're going to cover weak auras really in depth next week. How to make sounds, how to make things proc. I know a bunch of you guys already asked questions here in both chats. How how do I use these add-ons. But this is more of an overview of where you should place these add-ons. If you have clutter all over your screen, you notice where this Angry Assignments is? It's off to the far left side, right? Where I don't really need to look at it all the time. If I need to look at it at a glance, it's in the far left side of my screen, not in the friggin' middle. So you don't want to take a look at, or you want to take a look at things, again, clear in the middle of your screen. There's a website here, and this is Misty Tea House, and I'll sort of give you guys a breakdown of how these things sort of work. And this is more for our Mist Viewer, but it is applicable elsewhere. So I'll pop this up for you guys here, and this is one of our viewers, I think it's Matha, shared this with me. This shows you, your real estate, right? Your minimap. This is more LVY as well, but you can see here, if I zoom in a little bit better. Again, I'm not a big fan of target frames and player frames off the left side here, but you see character in the middle, action bars, chat, objectives, debuffs, whatever, ravens far left side there. Not a huge fan of that. I mean, that's more how things start off, and then start shifting things over to the middle of your screen, right? Buffs, debuffs, objectives, SCADA minimap, and this is what most players use, just step by step like this, right? So again, and this guy has the same philosophy that I do, is your most important things as close as possible to your character. Things that are less important, kind of important, the further out you go. In the same way, when we talked about keyboards, right? When we talked about keybinds, the same philosophy is applied. That you're using WASD for movement, that you're using your green keys for important or very important things, and then your yellow keys for less important things, and then your purple keys for modifiers. So, use those kinds of things, and yeah, good little breakdown here. They've got weak auras, all that fun little stuff here. They've got an interesting UI setup as well. So again, use the middle of the screen. And like we mentioned a little bit earlier, LVUI and Tuck UI, or what Shadow Unit Frames, are good minimalistic starter kits. This UI that you guys see right now, this is not how LVUI starts off. I'll show you guys how LVUI starts off. And LVUI is great because it allows me to share profiles. So the default profile, let me go to my profile here. I'm using Ret Sparty now. Let's go to default. This is how it shows up right here. And obviously you can, and there's a big bar in the middle there, but this is how LVUI comes out of the box. You can't really see my bar there because of my weak aura, but you can see some bars here, you can see some more bars over here, you can see exactly how it looks. Each character can be built differently, you can have different profiles for different specs, as that's what I do. Keybinds might be a little bit limited in terms of sharing them between specs and profiles and that kind of stuff, but this is how it is out of the box. You download LVUI and this is what you've got. Awesome. So you would go into LVUI config, you would look at the action bars, right? Whether it be a boss button or it be your micro bar, right? Top left here, micro bar, or bar 1, or bar 2, or bar 3. Things that I do as well. I mean, I want to have nice big buttons in the middle of my screen, not because I'm blind, but because, oh, so I can move the keyboard. Thank you. There. So not because I'm blind, but because I want to see those things in my periphery, right? If I'm looking at the middle of my screen here, I want to see big buttons, right? So if I go back to Ret Sparty, my other profile, right, you see these big buttons in the middle of my screen. And my Voodoo, my RAID frames, again, are centered around the middle of my screen that way as well. So, I mean, don't be afraid of this add-on. It is very easy to customize and use. I want to give you guys an example of my old UI. This is how I used to heal, and my UI has gone through many iterations over the years. This is how I healed, and this, you guys can laugh at this. This is fine. This is how I healed back in Mists of Pandaria during Terrace of the Endless Springs. So this is one of my UIs right here. As you can see here, it's not very pretty. It's just green shit everywhere, right? Like healing numbers galore through Holy Radiance or whatever we did back then. You can see, yeah, all my buttons are in the middle there. I'm tracking Holy Power in the bottom left-ish, right? The bottom left-ish, there's those 5 bars through a Nugs combo bar, I think it was. My chat is nice and big. My one little raid frame there. My threat meter was there. I've got buffs on the far right side. I'll sort of draw these things for you guys. Some buffs over here on the far right side. There's a GM survey. Oh, damn it. There's a GM survey I have to fill out apparently. But again, not really conducive to a really, really awesome UI. And so when I started using LVUI, it started turning into this, right? This was my first time playing with LVUI. I got my character here, I got my combo points there, my holy power there, all my buttons were on my screen, nice and easy. I redid my bars. My cast bar was right here, which I moved obviously closer to my main character because I'm staring right here, right? This is where my eyes typically are, this and right here, right? This is where I'm watching my eyes, so my cast bar for maximum efficiency should be probably right under here or right above my character. You can see I'm tracking with my boss mods, you know, amethyst, jade shards, everything else like that. With the power there of the boss or the thing that was charging up. Over here on the far right side, things that are less important, which is the berserk timer, you know, fully petrified, all that stuff. So that was my first run through LVUI, and obviously got prettier and prettier and prettier and prettier until it eventually, you know, got into this, which is something that I really, really like. Oops. There. Okay, so again, much more minimalistic UI. Shadow Unit Frame is great. Here's a picture. And yeah, this is a great example here. Thank you for sharing this. So this is Shadowed Unit Frames. Similar kind of thing. Conrad's UI was also very similar. You're tracking holy power in the middle or whatever your HP is, your buttons that are most prominent. Again, your most important stuff right smack dab in the middle of your screen. He's tracking a lot of weak auras as well for, you know, Devotion Aura when his big cooldowns are up. You can see, right? I'll zoom in for you guys here. You can see when his big cooldowns are up or his small cooldowns. I'll draw this again for you guys. So again, you know, stuff in the middle of his screen, awesome. You know, targets, debuffs. His Shield of the Righteous, which is his active mitigation. His Sacred Shield over here. Devotion Aura, you know, other procs, Life Cocoons, whatever. Cooldowns are on him. Personal mitigation stuff. When he's got Holy Avenger up, when he's got Argent Defender, Guardian of the Ancient Kings, all that stuff is being shown through weak auras, which is, again, is a super, super useful tool. So, great to use. Again, try these out. I really encourage you guys, if you have, you know, a haphazard Blizzard UI, yeah, it's okay to use. But why crawl when you can walk? Why walk when you can run? You can play so much better. You can be a much better player, contribute that much more to your raid with some of these really useful tools. And that's what I really want to encourage you guys to do. Play around with it. It's not going to be, you know, be great the first time around. I keep tweaking my UI. I added 2 buttons to my UI at the suggestion of 2 of my viewers, right? Because I shouldn't be hiding, and I hide a lot of my buttons to make my UI really visible. I shouldn't be hiding things that are on a cooldown, like my interrupt, right? Or my speed burst, which is a 45-second cooldown. So it might not be up when I need it. So those are 2 more buttons I'm now tracking, and I've readjusted my my legendary weak aura, my ring, from over here, from over here where it was to down here below. So those are things that help out as well. Good. Again, that was my UI. You know, the guild had, you know, we share each other's UIs, we give each other critique. But yeah, mine was, you know, pretty messy as well. Yeah, and this is another really good setup here. This is Profires. I don't want to go through like a lot of these weak auras. One sec. New tab. Or it's a lot of these add-ons and UIs, because I know everybody wants to share their add-ons or weak auras. You can share them in chat here. So again, raid frames in the middle of the screen, buttons nice and prominent. They're nice and large as well, right? Because you want to be able to see them. Yeah, quest stuff there. I mean, this is a pretty standard setup, right? You make things look how you want to make them look. Don't be afraid of change, and don't be afraid of starting these things up. Run whatever, you know, add-ons you want, but try them out. They're really, really useful. In terms of boss mods, and I will talk about boss mods next. So there's a few really, really prominent boss mods. One of the most important ones is DBM, right? DBM or bigwigs, those are the most common ones. Now, what do boss mods do? Well, back in my day, when I used to raid, we had to use stopwatches, right? We used to use stopwatches all the time to track abilities. There was no, like, boss add-ons. It's like, okay, guys, start the timer at the pole, watching the timer while I'm doing my stuff here. I put the stopwatch on the side, and okay, guys, in about 10 seconds, we're going to get a big breath, or the next ability is going to start, or the next phase is going to start if it's a timed phase ability. These boss mods do all that now for you. So Worlds of Draenor, Hellfire Citadel, all these things are, you know, are being used. So If think something is charging, or abilities are coming, or the flame belchers are coming out, or artilleries, these things track your timers. They will mark things up for you, which makes it easier. Again, this is one of the most important tools of a raider. Some kind of boss mod. I prefer DBM. Right, that is my preference. There is nothing wrong with bigwigs. Use bigwigs if you like bigwigs. I like DBM because I have the additional voice pack options, right? So again, I told you guys audible warnings are much more effective than visual warnings, right? Use both, obviously, but audible warnings are absolutely key. So I have spoken alerts, right? And I've got a Kiwi voice pack, so every time it speaks or there's a fire on the ground or something, then I'll be able to hear it, right? That things are coming out. I'm a raid leader and I use base UI with appropriate add-ons. LVI drives me nuts. You don't have to use it. You can just use bartender, right? Like, you can use whatever you want, but I guarantee most raiders are going to use boss mods because it does so much. It is one of the most important tool. So use deadly boss mods, which is again one of the most popular ones, or bigwigs, and then less popular is Deus Vox encounters, which not many still use. And obviously they were really overpowered add-ons over the past few years, like AVR, which was augmented virtual reality, and it drew stuff on your screen as to where things might happen, and it really prevented a lot of deaths that way. So DBM, I'll give you guys an example here. I'll try to here, maybe I'll share my Mythic Archimond video with you guys and give you an example of what this add-on does. And again, it's so powerful. All right. So here we're going to start the pull. We do a ready check here on the far left side. I've got angry assignments, so when we're using, our different cooldowns for the rots, so make sure we have enough damage reduction for each rots, everything else like that. And now Mythic Archimond obviously has quite a few new abilities compared to heroic and normal Archimond, and so this is where add-ons are really, really key. Yes, you could defeat Archimond without any add-ons. Yes, you probably could, and some people have by being carried. But can you work to your highest potential? Can you play to your highest potential without having these add-ons? Good luck. I wish you best of luck. Alex and I use Voodoo. And we'll talk about raid frames in a second here. Like I haven't been annoyed. All right, so that's me talking. There's a countdown. All right, so here I'm starting DPS right now. We blow all our cooldowns. And you can sort of track here. So I've got a Doomfire spawning in about a second. We have Death's Brand, which is the Death Caller coming up. So we want to make sure we blow the our ring before the Doomfire. Sorry, after the Doomfire dies. We don't blow this up as quickly as possible. There, we're adjusting my screen. And so you can see I've got my wings, 13 seconds on the left side there, healing a little bit. And so this was a rough one because we had a pillar spawn and then the fire went off everywhere else. But I can see who is taking fire damage. On Mythic Archimond, that fire is super, super, super important. But because we had really shitty positioning and the pillar spawned in a really bad spot, it knocked the fire away. And when somebody picks up the fire, you take fire damage and then you drop it off once it expires. So right now, myself, Roshi, and Primetime, who's supposed to get it, have the fire debuff. Well, now I know who to heal. Because I can track that fire debuff through my raid frame, Voodoo, I'm able to see they're going to take more damage. I need to focus more heals on that person. You can see Deadman there has got a Death Caller on him right now. You can see the people on the raid frames, the two groups there, or three groups right now, have a little golden buff. That is the buff from those big golden orbs, the big golden balls. And those things, they reduce damage. So I know everybody that doesn't have those things then is going to take more damage, which only really matters for the first phase. And then he's going to die here in a second. Our DPS were a little bit switched to slow to switch, but he was also, no, next one he's probably going to die. Well, that was the first attempt. Okay, so this is one of those big abilities. Okay, and this is where add-ons are super, super key. Sorry, I need to go, I apologize, guys. I'll go back for a couple seconds. All right, phase 2. All right, so for those of you that have done Heroic Archimond, you know that Wrought Chaos goes on to Focused Chaos, right? There's a big laser beam. Goes from one target to another. And if anybody is standing in that path, well, then you take damage, right? Well, on this one, there's 10 of these, right? There's 10 beams going all over the place. And if anybody's standing in anybody else's laser beams, you take a shit ton of damage. So how are you going to track all those things? And I'll show you here. Rod Chaos is going to come out here. And there it is. Okay, so it's on me right now. So I'm tracking this in two ways. The first one is on the left side of my screen there. You can see a little square mini-map thing that says who has the beams. If it's green, it's good. The orange one is mine. The red one, I'm standing in somebody else's beam. So I need to shift myself out. The same way I have it in the middle of my screen here, I have Rot Chaos. My Rot Chaos is going to somebody else. I can see based off my direction and how I change, those lines should always be green. Because if they're not green, if you take more than 2 of these, you die. You die, raid wipes, you're done. And that's mythic raiding. Right? I removed the voodoo command. Yeah, voodoo is gone until I rehost it. So again, Rot Chaos on me. Big laser beam. So everyone took a lot of damage, and now there's another round of this. Great. We make sure we're in a good position. Some of those beams adjust. Everybody stands still. Next laser beam. It's red, right? Which means I'm going to have to move. I shift myself a little bit, and I'm safe. I'm not at risk of dying. And then here, next ability here, this is the Shackle Torment. So it targets 3 people on Mythic, and anybody within that range is going to die. So how do you tell, without add-ons, how do you tell how far away you are from that person? You can guess. I guess you can check. You know, you can hope for the best. But this shows me in 2 ways, really 3 ways. I've got multiple weak auras on my screen. Obviously, it's doubled up there. Driaz, I'm too close to hers. Roshi's, I'm 26 yards away from his. Perfect. Jungle's 23 yards away. Not far enough. There. Now I'm far enough away from Jungle's. I still need to move 6 yards to get away from Driaz's, and that way I'm going to be safe. So you can see it's green. If it's green, I'm safe from getting killed by those shackle breaks. And if it's red, I'm obviously going to die. So I get to a safe spot. I stand right here, go back to my healing, and they can break their chains. All done. Again, this is one of those tools. Like, if you don't have an add-on like that, good effing luck. It's such a useful tool for getting into raiding. So Allure of Flames happens. Well, for Allure of Flames, do you guys really need to... I mean, this is one of those things where, like, well, I know obviously there's a fire under the ground. I can see it, right? Well, yeah, right? There's a fire that landed over here. Jungle picked it up. I think he's going to drop it off to Primetime somewhere here. Let's see, does the tank die? No, tank doesn't die on this one. So there's the fire. Again, lasers. Lasers coming out. Everyone's green. The orange one is mine. And lots of ads are coming out. So again, while these ads are coming out, you know, if any one of these guys, and this is the really tricky part of this boss fight, and this is the hardest part of Phase 2, is I have all these ads spawning shit under the ground. You know, little dogs, they're spawning those purple circles. If you're standing purple circle, it may silence you and do damage to you. At the same time, I've got shackles. And shackles, not only do they blow up your raid if, you know, you break your chain, and you break your chain by using certain abilities, or running away from them, or dying. If one of these guys were to die, Firemancer, Lurchy, or Jungle, the raid would wipe. So I can see these guys are taking a lot of damage right now. Sparty got really low there. Popped my health potion. Jungle, this was our wipe. So Jungle died there. He didn't get enough healing. He could have been standing in something, and we're wiped on this one. Let me go back forward a few minutes here. So attempt number 2. This is where our tank died. Yep. Same kind of thing here. All right, so back to Phase 2. What is the boss at? Boss is at like 45-ish. So again, Death Callers being killed, you know, debuffs. You're tracking all these really, really important things. And yes, you don't need an add-on to see fire on the ground. You can just need your eyes and your brain. But this helps out so much. And now at this point, we don't break our shackles, right? We're just going to make sure we don't stand in stuff. Okay, and this is Phase 3 of Archimon. And this is where things are really important as well. And where a weak or an add-on shows where you should run, because there's the Mark of Chaos debuff. It is a new ability for obviously this brand new phase on Archimon. So the first ability is Dark Conduits. My DPM says, hey, Dark Conduits are spawning. Make sure you don't stand near them. Right, I'm not going to go all the way into this encounter, but there. Conduits are done. Good, I'm going to get back into a more central position between these 4 markers. You guys see 4 markers here? Now, what the ability does is it marks a player, a random player in your raid that is not a tank, and it marks them and says, go to a certain spot. Well, that's what the add-on does for us. It helps assign these positions. So you're assigned a ranged right position, ranged left, melee right. And you stand on those markers because everybody nearby will take damage once you explode. And the more people that are standing there, the less damage you take, and the less distance you cover, less distance you're knocked back when you explode. If there's only one person standing there, they're going to get knocked off the platform. So it's really important to split up your groups. Okay, you can see here I'm assigned to this one. I'm going to stand right here, get knocked off to the side because we have 4 people standing here, take a little bit of damage, and then Infernals are coming down. Right, so we track Infernals. I can see the Infernal's life, which one is which. We grip them apart from each other. We stun them because Infernals heal. And again, this is where add-ons are really, really helpful, right? Next thing that's going to happen is a source of chaos. Well, we're going to kill this source of chaos. We're all going to focus it down. Again, all these things are useful tools for helping you kill these bosses without having something like angry assignments on the far left side. Well, you know, what if you forgot? I mean, not everybody remembers which group you're supposed to go to. Things change between attempts. Cooldowns change, people DC, whatever. That really helps you on the far left side. You can see angry assignments, and then again, those marks, right? Void Stars is about to happen next. You can see in the middle right of my screen here. Here come Void Stars. I'm going to switch to the far right one here, the one by green. Get a couple DPS in there. Good, and it dies really quick. Done. You know why? Because we had an add-on that showed, hey, Void Star is about to happen. So instead of reacting to it, we were proactive. We were proactive and we said, okay, I'm going to get ready for that Void Star to spawn. I know where it's going to spawn. Right? I know where to be. And again, rating at this level, it's all about muscle memory. It's all about practice, practice, practice. And again, these are tools. If we didn't have these tools, I guarantee we would have had, hundreds of more wipes, because they make it that much more. So you can be an add-on purist and not use these add-ons. And I mean, I had somebody apply to my guild recently that just didn't use add-ons. And they said, you know what, I play better without add-ons. And I'm like, oh, interesting. And so I tried to, explain to them, hey, have there ever been times where, you weren't watching a boss ability and maybe you wiped at 1%? And yeah, there's been a couple times. Well, do you think that 1% wipe could have been averted had you been using an add-on to help track timers or track debuffs or something? Well, maybe, not really. Okay, well, there's no convincing this guy. So again, add-ons, super useful tool. I specifically use DBM here because, again, I like the voice pack, but it's ultimately up to you guys what DBM or what boss mod you guys would like to use. They're both effective, both really great ones. There's a couple other little, there's a couple more here. I want to show you guys Dell's. So this is top level, mythic level playing. Here is a UI from Dell. We all love Dell, a great paladin. And here he's tracking. I mean, I'm not a big fan of his UI, but this really, really works for him. So on the far left side of his screen, you can see his raid frames, right? Or it's not raid frames, his cooldowns. And he's using Exorcist raid tools for tracking cooldowns. I use Blood Legion cooldowns. And it's up to you. I'm likely going to switch over to this one because you can track more, really. It's a little bit prettier as well, and it's all built in. So he's using this one. He's in the middle of his screen. He has a weak auras. I'll show you guys exactly. Here's an explanation here. There's an explanation of what's going on. So Exorcist raid tools on the far left. On the far top right, he has bigwigs. Let me draw on the screen for him. There. Right here, he has bigwigs, the top right of his screen. Again, important things in the middle of his screen. As they are less important, they get further away from the main point of your eyes, or from where your eyes are looking. He's tracking his, the next big ability is going to be right here, Deathbrand. He's got his weak auras here for his healing, his Libram procs, Intuition's Gift, Selfless Healer, how many stacks, his personal buffs right here, as you can see here on the right side. So he's got Divine Purpose up right now, as well as Speed of Light. He's got 2 stacks of Doomfire because he probably stood in fire for some silly reason, and stuff that's not important. Obviously, Skada on the far left side. You guys can sort of see this. Skada right over here. Right, you don't really need to see that. I show mine because it's there for entertaining the viewers. You can see who's doing what damage, whatever. His raid frame is in the middle here, and I told him I'm not a fan of his raid frames because I like color in my raid frames, right? Like if I go to Voodoo Options here, And Voodoo is, again, a great add-on. If I go to move, and now let's honestly a 25-person raid setting. So this is how I like my raid frames. They're colorful, they're color-coded, it's really easy. I know who's a warrior, I know who's a hunter, I know who's a rogue, I know, which one's marksman and not to heal them. Don't heal hunter pets, obviously, who's dead, where they are as well. So if somebody's out of my range, I can hover over them and see exactly where they are, which is really, really useful. Who's in Ashran right now on Stormrage? Can somebody whisper me on Stormrage in Ashran? Let me know if you're around. I need to bug you for a second. So again, Voodoo, super powerful. Again, that's personal preference. If you want to use, what Dell is using here, totally fine. It works for him, right? Again, so in the top right of his screen, the less important stuff are bigwigs. Next things that are going to happen, Allure of Flames and Doomfire right here, bigwigs. Right here. Trinkets, weapons, abilities. In the middle here, he's using weak auras. He's a big weak auras fan for tracking that kind of stuff, and he gave me a lot of weak auras. Okay, Hunterman, sure. You're an Ashran, perfect. Alright, so you see what Voodoo does? So he's an Ashran. Well, he's out of my range, right? What this does is it shows there an arrow to where he is. So I don't have to look around and, look which one of these is friggin' Hunter derp, right? I can just see when he's out of range, right? He's this way, so I'm going to move myself this way to get in range of him to heal him, which is why I wanted, this add-on, Voodoo, is really, really powerful. Mine is disabled. For those of you who want to download my Voodoo, it's disabled for now until I rehost it, but it will be back up probably today or tomorrow. But again, these kinds of UIs are great because, right, they're minimalistic. You're tracking the really important things in the middle of your screen, and it's not cluttered with all kinds of crap. So try these. Again, ElvUI, TuckUI, and Shadow Unit Frames. Those are good starter kits. I started off with ElvUI as well, and I sort of finagled, how I wanted my UI. With me personally, I tried Dell's weak auras. It didn't work for me. The guys at Top Mythic Raider, he gave me some suggestions. It just didn't work for me. I'll give you guys suggestions as well, and it may not work for you either. So what did I do? I made a specific bar with really big buttons. So when I'm healing somebody, right? When I'm healing somebody here, I can see Holy Shock on cooldown. I can see, wings, whatever, by just slightly glancing down. Obviously, my bars are not off to the side somewhere, or they're not in the, really small. I can see really easily the size of, the bars and then what the cooldowns are, right? So would it be this or Devotion Aura? I can see how much time I have on them. My potions as well, I can see if they're on cooldown, my interrupt timer, my speed of light. Now I can see those things. And obviously this one right here is just to make sure I have easy access for clicking Seal of Light. Personal preference. My other abilities, because I have things keybound, and this is going back to last week when we talked about keybinds. So because I have things keybound, you guys don't see a lot of my abilities, right? Well, Sparty, where's your flash of light? How are you healing? Well, Voodoo, the add-on, it's similar to Cleek, ish. It allows me to heal by mouse overs or on clicking. So my left click, flash of light. Right click, holy light. Right? Shift, right click was lay on hands. It's got lay on hands on him now. So that's how, I minimize my UI space. If I were to show you, there's my bar 1 button. So a lot of these things are keybound, right? So I know my number 1 key is switching beacons. My T key is beacon number 2. I could flash of light with a 3 key or a left click. My stun is number 4. My denounce is 5. The other ones I don't really use. Some of them are just bound differently, so I have something bound. But because I have memorized through lots of practice what these things are keybound to, I don't need to see them. Guess what? UI prettier. I can see more of what's going on right now. Right? Same thing here. Bar number 2 I don't use. Bar number 3 is this one, and I have some things hidden. So, right? That's more. I can expand it, make it bigger, smaller. I can make it vertical. I could have 2 rows per thing. There's bar number 4. There, and I'm hiding a couple more buttons. So my actual trinket proc, or my actual trinket ability, right? It's F3. I don't need to see that. I know what it's bound to. I've got it memorized. So let's make it a little bit smaller. There. Right? And that makes it a little bit prettier. I like the way I've shaped it. It's my preference, but these UIs are very fluid. It's always going to change and change and change and change. So, yeah, finangled, exactly, finangled. So yeah, I mean, in essence, try some of these UIs out. They're a really, really important part of raiding. They're going to make you better players. Next week, we're really going to cover weak auras. And I mean, I'll touch on weak auras now. Weak auras are fantastic. You can just tell me when, but weak auras you can share really easily. You can sort of see the ones that are on my screen right now. In the top section, I have Touch of Doom weak auras, which you guys saw earlier from Gorefiend. I've got my Dazzling Rod score for whenever I pull my Dazzling Rod and we play with each other's balls. Who has the highest score? I've got one for if I ever need to do chains for Zul'Harak. I've got Move to Death Spot there for... Let me try to look at some of these. Mark of the Legion. Yeah, Essence is spawning here. So again, when there is an Essence spawning on Gorefiend, I can see that. Gorefiend's Digest timers over here. Explosive Burst Distance. This is, again, something that it's important on Cromrock, right? Make sure you're far enough, especially when you're doing progression on Heroic, Normal, Mythic, whatever. I've got some Warlock ones for Burning Embers, right? How do I track my resources as a Warlock? Well, those kinds of things helped me. Arcane Wrath for an older tier. Shackle Torments as well for the distances between them. This is one, again, that Dell gave me, different weak auras here for Hand of Sacrifice, for whatever. Hand of Salvation, those kinds of things. More cooldowns. You can make these weak auras, right? So they sort of collapse on each other. And you can see, and this is a great one. So if I were to use this one, it collapses in on itself, and whenever I have an ability that I'm using, I'll try to show you guys how this one works. Flip over here. Let's load this one. All right. Does he have it only in combat? One sec. This Holy Paladin Engineer Rings. Let's try to define this thing again. Paladin cooldowns, there's this one, right? Player class, so that's why. Paladin. Talent Spec, turn it off. There. Hopefully now you're working. There we go. So you can see here, and this is because I butchered it a little bit, you can see the cooldowns. I can move this weak aura wherever I want. I want to hit Devotion Aura. Look, this is how long it's active. It's got a green timer of how long it's active, and then it's going to go red for how long until I have it up again. Divine Protection. Right? Bubble. Same thing. Avenging Wrath. And yeah, I mean, I butchered this book a little bit, but that's how it looks. And you can do this for all of your cooldowns. Instead of, looking down there for which abilities are up right now, looking at the bottom of your screen, do I have my Avenging Wrath up or not? Well, track it in weak auras. There's plenty of weak auras available. Steal them from everybody else. Guys, don't have to worry about making your own. Steal them from other players. Use those. So yeah. All add-ons destroy the game. So again, this is something that I've covered earlier. The game is designed around having add-ons. The developers, when they make these encounters, they do them with add-ons in mind, not without add-ons. And that's from speaking from experience. That's speaking from talking to the developers themselves and how the game has evolved, right? You can have your own opinion on it, but the fact is they are a tool to be used. So I think of a lot of add-ons like Training Wheels for Raiders. Sure, but we all still use them, right? They're there to help you. A lot of these things are there to help you become a better player, or if you want to track all those things, you want to do Mythic Archimon without add-ons, I wish you the best of luck. I would love to see a guild complete Mythic Archimon without add-ons. Right? So, yeah. Yeah, and Farag here has a good point. A good coach I had for football once said, if you see something that works for someone else, a technique or whatever, steal it for yourself. Absolutely. Why would I want to make my own add-ons when I can use other people's and maybe adjust them, make them work for me? So a lot of these things help you out a ton. And again, the complexity of these mythic encounters, that's how it's designed. If you want to run encounters without add-ons, right, which is some of your opinions, then we're going to have simple encounters again. We're going to have a boss with 3 abilities. Those 3 abilities are going to be a breath every 30 seconds. The other ability is going to be a fear every 45 seconds. And then every maybe 10 seconds he's going to throw a patch of fire on the ground. Magamadar. That is a boss fight without add-ons, or very minimal add-ons. If you guys want to go back to boss fights like that are super interesting, that are super difficult, and by difficult I mean very sarcastically there, then yeah, we can go without add-ons, sure. But if you want to have fun encounters that change, something longer, multiple phases, And for those that are mythic raiders, which is, a small subset of the population, less than 1% of the player base is mythic raiders, or even heroic raiders, if you want to have more complex encounters, well then they're going to have to be designed around having some of these add-ons. Right? The best players in the world, because they're so competitive, they will use these things. Okay, I'll use an analogy for you guys. You want to play hockey, right? Okay, let's go play NHL level hockey, but you don't get to use pads. Pads are for training wheels. Those are for the unskilled. You don't get to use pads. No. No, yeah, I don't think so. Oh, you wanted a hockey stick? Yeah, no, sorry. Only the unskilled plebs use those. Right? You want to play football? Again, no pads. How about we go without a helmet? Play football. Same kind of thing. They're a tool. They're there to help you. It's for safety, right? And it adds to the game as well. So, don't use a cup. Don't use a cup, exactly. All right. But again, by using these add-ons, I'm going to disable this one. You'll see a lot more on your screen. Where is it? Where did I put it now? That's probably my loaded screen. Holy Paladin. Nope. Paladin cooldowns. There we go. And again, weak auras is great because it allows you to track all these things. What are the weak auras am I running here? Run to safe spot, different cooldowns, my Avenging Wrath timer. You want to be super efficient with your timers, with your rotations, with everything else. Then you want to track those things. Why would I want to track my Avenging Wrath and everything else when I can have a weak aura that does? And I can focus on raid leading, I can focus on hurting cats, I can focus on my healing rotation, maximizing my healing, instead of distracting yourself from the other million things that are going on. I'll use that boss mod that helps it for me. So, what else here? Yeah, this is another UI here from Fribolo. So Fribolo, I think he said he was not a fan of, for some players, and people play differently, right? So this is Fribolo's UI on his Hunter. I think he mentioned, what did he mention here in my notes? I know a lot of people who play DPS like to center their main rotation abilities. He does not. You see his main rotation abilities are at the bottom there, because he wants to have the space clear for him seeing the character, him seeing the fire, him seeing what's around him, and the rotation he has memorized. It's happening in his head. He's not tracking it through through weak auras or whatever else. He knows the rotation. He can feel the rotation. And again, that is through tons and tons of practice. So again, mythic level, like a top level raider, completely different UI, slightly different philosophy, but the main is the same, right? Middle of the screen, important things, less important things away from the screen. So that is something, that you guys should consider when you're getting into raiding, right? If you need a quick weak aura for an ability, Wowhead has built-in weak auras. Just to go to the page of an ability, and the weak aura is there for you to grab just and copy. Can you use an example, Katsuki? Give us a link here to your Wowhead stuff. Katsuki now works for Wowhead. Obviously, shameless plug for Wowhead, which is fine because I got my Holy Paladin guide there too. But yeah, a lot of the weak auras you can use, just steal from Wowhead. Again, don't worry about learning how to use Wowhead not Wowhead, weak auras and making all these things yourself. Just adjust them, steal them from other things, and see what works. Right? I can show you a weak aura for me. This one right here. And this one has my sonar ping, right? So basically what I say is, whenever I have, so this is the trigger, what it's going to cause it to happen, whenever a status, so that status is being my holy power, is equal to or greater than 3, I want you to do something. If this condition is met, I want you to do something for me. Well, what do you want me to do? I want you to play a sonar ping sound. Okay, I can make it a graphic, I can make, somebody's face on my screen, right? That's why weak auras is so damn powerful. And next week we're going to cover weak auras, I think. I'll try to find time, probably Monday when I move my coaches' corners to Mondays. We'll cover weak auras as in-depth as I can. But again, you can use, let's use a palace spell. Oh, here, why don't we show this on screen here? Ooh, all right, guys. So here's how it's going to work. So this is Wowhead. Right, you guys know Wowhead, great resource, great tool. This comes after Thoughtbot and Alakazam and all those other old school sites. So this is Infusion of Light, as you guys can see. On the right side, there's a weak auras export. Let's click on this. All right, let's copy. I'm going to copy, paste this, right? We're going to go open weak auras. Instead of making, I'm just going to import a string here. Okay, so this is, let's import this bad boy. Infusion of light buffing player. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, it means whenever Infusion of Light procs, it's going to show up on my screen. There, in the middle of my screen, there's Infusion of Light. You now no longer have to make your weak auras. Go to Wowhead, they've made them for you. It's awesome, I'm telling you guys. Wowhead is weak auras, my eyes are opened. Exactly! Right? We learned something new. I learned something new. I had no idea that Wowhead did this kind of stuff. Right? But that's fantastic. Thank you, Katsuki, for sharing that with us. That is awesome. And so yeah, all these things are shared. Look, I've got Infusion of Light twice on my screen now. I might actually use the Wowhead version instead of my own because it has a timer. Not that I really need multiple stacks of it, but the timer is always helpful, I suppose. Right? For sure. So yeah, post that link, you know, copy, paste, go to a different ability here, and track those things. It's great. Infusion of Light is something that you definitely want to proc. You can go to different abilities or different things like my Libram proc here. What is my Libram proc called? Magnifying Light. So we would go to Magnifying Light. And let's see here, Magnifying Light spell. I guess it doesn't have one here. Oh, so I guess it has one for most things. Let's take a look here. Oh, here we go. Perfect. So Magnifying Light, this is the proc from your Libram, right? This thing right here. Well, I want to import that. There's the export. This is what it's going to look like. You can see on Wowhead already what it's going to look like. Let's export this. I want to steal it, right? I don't want to make it myself and figure out how to do this shit. I mean, you could, because it'll make you a better player. But I want to copy this. Let's import this one. All right, import Magnifying Light. All right. Every time my Holy Shock is used, Magnifying Light should spawn. There it is. The timer's a little off. Oh, never mind. That's the other timer. But that's how long I have to use it. Well, it's in the middle of my screen, Sparty. What do I do? Okay, just move it. Move it to where? Somewhere in the middle of your screen because it is an important buff. Something not important, move it off to the side. Right? Things that you don't need to see. Like your damage meters, like your chat, like your map. That's why it's off away from the middle of your screen. Because it's not as important. Okay, what is that? What is this little spreadsheet here? One sec here. Yeah, I mean, okay, so yes, you want to learn weak auras. You can customize them. You can, again, add sounds. You can make them bigger, smaller, whatever. Let's make this one bigger. That's how easy it is. Sparty, Void Search. Remember how we had that one guy that we said was working on Zul Harak, and his Void Search and Fel Search were so big? Big freaky eye on your screen, right? Sparty, use your Libram. Done. Right? You can customize them on the Wowhead page. Oh, here we go. This is, again, blowing my mind. I'm learning something to teach you guys. All right. So let's make a weak aura on Wowhead. Let's do this together, friends. Let's make a medium-sized icon. No, let's make a progress bar. So again, let's go through this together. We're going to learn together. All right, this is why add-ons are fantastic. So let's make a large progress bar. What do we want it? I want it to trigger when the player has the buff. Sure. Or missing the buff. Missing the buff. Yeah. When I don't have it, I want it to do it. All right. So tell me when I don't have it. Let's make it the other way around. Let's make a large icon, and every time I don't have this buff, I want it to annoy me. Okay. Player is missing it. Good. Let's go in and out of combat. Great. Why don't we start? This is a good starting point. Okay, let's copy this one. All right. Let's import this one here. Import Magnifying Light. Okay, look. In the middle of my screen, there's this big, stupid, annoying eye until I use my Holy Shock, which triggers my Libram. And now I have even a more annoying eye in my screen until I use it. And now I have another annoying eye. And this is something that can help with rotations as well. For those of you that are different learners, these kinds of prompts do help you learn your rotation as well. So again, this is fantastic. Thank you, Katsuki, for sharing this with us. This is awesome. So yeah, guys can customize your weak auras however you want. It doesn't have to be an actual spell or proc. I mean, it can be, well, you know, things that proc off abilities or, you know, your potions or whatever. Wowhead has now built that in. That's fantastic. Now I have to delete them because they're super annoying. Or at least, you know, I'll get rid of them for now. Delete. and delete. But again, it is a very, very powerful tool. Tell me when is great. For those of you who use Tell Me When, that's fine too. But weak ORs is super powerful because you can share it like these guys do. What else? That could pot twice in the fight during sequence progress. Very good. I'm trying to step LVY, and with the raid frames, I find it nice and practical. Could you help out? So, raid frame. So, if you're a healer, and this is Primesness, if you're a healer, then your raid frame should be somewhere near the middle of your screen, or where your eyes are going to be. If you are not a healer, it is not as important for your raid frames to be dead center of your screen. You can have them off to the side. As long as you have those raid frames on your screen somewhere as a DPS, that is important. Okay, just to be clear, it is really, really important. So, let's say LVY here. So this is to Primesness. Sorry, let me, I think I got your name wrong there, but I want to do this thing before I wind down here for this Coach's Corner. Unit frames, right? So here are, let's go to raid frames. Let's enable the raid frames. I'm not really in a raid right now. It's not going to really help me. Display frames. There. So those are my raid frames. Why don't we toggle anchors so we can move them? There. Okay, so just to be clear, I'll go step by step again here. So if you open LVY config, toggle anchors is what allows you to move things. This one right here. Okay, and then you can move it wherever you want. If you're a healer, try to have it near the middle of your screen. But again, not cluttering things up. If you're not a healer, you can have it off to the side somewhere, but still have it on your screen. Great question from Elord here. Why is it important to have raid frames on your screen if you're a DPS or a tank? Okay, why don't you guys chime in before I chime in? Why is it important to show raid frames on your screen? Right? I mean, I'm a DPS, bro. Right? My job is DPSing. I want to see big effing numbers on my screen. I want to go, unzip and just go like this all over my keyboard, and that's my job, right? Why do I care about everybody else's raid frames? Debuffs, res, sac, B-res, battle res. Okay, so, but bro, I'm not a warlock, right? I'm not a hunter or a death knight. I don't need to B-res people. I mean, not a hunt. Well, hunters, yeah, too. Or a druid. Well, why else is it important? So you know what's going on around you, right? Okay, so great examples from you guys there. So what if I'm a paladin and I need to throw Hand of Sacrifice on somebody else, on a tank that asks for it? Paladins are great because you have so much utility. If I'm playing a red paladin, yeah, you better hope I'm going to have everybody's raid frames. I'm going to cast Blessing of Protection and Freedoms and Purity on my raid, because it's not enough to just DPS. You want to be the full, complete player, giving cooldowns to your raid members. And if you can see who has a debuff, who has a disease you can dispel as a DPS, you are that much more useful to your raid, right? If you're a rogue, if my raid is low HP, I'm going to use my smoke bomb because I'm a smart player. Or you could not use smoke bomb and everybody dies. So this allows you really to see what's happening on around you. And, I've really trained myself over the years. I don't need to see what they're doing. I can see if somebody's HP is dropping low, I know they're standing in fire. I don't have to go see them standing in fire, right? I don't need to see Hunterman, wherever he is, standing in fire. His HP is dropping low. The only ability that's going to drop his HP low is him standing in fire. So I know that's happening. And that's really useful for a raid lead. Awareness of your raider's mana. Yeah, I mean, you want to be aware of everybody's HP and mana. So here's another example. On a fight like normal and heroic Archimond, you know those big shackles that you break? If you break all 3 shackles at a time on heroic Archimond, you're likely going to wipe, right? So how do you determine when to break those shackles? How does a DPS raid lead determine when to break those shackles? Well, they're looking at everybody else's HP. And that is why it's important to watch those raid frames. Right, your cooldowns, what's going on around you, and obviously, there's the LVY frames. You can use them if you want. You can use Blizzard raid frames. Some Mythic players will use those raid frames. I'm not a fan of them. I like Voodoo. I love the robustness of Voodoo itself. So, yeah. Guys, you'll learn. Yeah, there's plenty of resources here. A lot of really great players here in chat. If you're ever unsure, guys, we were all noobs at some point, right? Last week we had somebody that. As adorable as it was. Hello, wife. Nicole?
Hello, husband.
Kara, I want you to listen to something. Come quick.
I'm coming.
Okay, so I gotta share this, Nimoy. Sorry, if you're still listening, Nimoy, I gotta share this with Driaz because this is adorable.
What is
so
it?
you know how I was doing keybinds last week, and this guy was told, you need to keybind your stuff because it makes you a better player, but he had no idea how to keybind. So he knew that WASD, were his most important buttons. So he bound his abilities to WASD.
Oh no!
Isn't that adorable?
Poor Muffin.
I know, but now he knows. We were all noobs at some point. You don't pop out, into this world knowing everything about this game. Well, we're all noobs, and we all have these noob stories, and that's how we get better. I've been playing this game for 11 plus years. What is year now? 20? Too long. I have 13 years of mistakes and getting better, and that's what I have, right? So we want to share these things with you guys. Some of us are still noobs, right? We're still learning. We're always learning. You're not the best player out there, but you need to keep striving to do better. And again, using add-ons, using these tools, centering your UI around your player, and the important things around you, and less important, the wider it goes out, the better you'll get. So that should, yeah, so adorable. Anyway, we're going to wind down now for Coach's Corner, guys. I've been playing for 10 years, and I didn't know how to keybind. But now you do! And I guarantee you're going to get a much better player. Like, now he's been practicing keybinding. I chatted with Nimoy in-game a couple days ago, and we chatted about how to keybind these things and how it's working for him. So, yeah, if you guys ever need me in-game, I'm always happy to chat. It is Sparty1780 through BattleTag. Again, you guys follow me on Twitter, Facebook, all that fun stuff. This Coach's Corner, like the others ones, will be on YouTube. Next week, we're going to cover weak corals a little bit more in depth. Now that we have Wowhead in this giant tool, maybe we won't need to cover it as much. But if you have suggestions of what you want to see to become a Mythic Raider, what kind of questions you guys have, please tweet me, please ask. We'll be asking for more Guild Survivor, more Coach's Corner ideas. We're going to go through reading logs and Warcraft logs and building strats and how to use cooldowns and really everything, because we want you guys to be better raiders. And you guys, the new players here are the next generation of raiders. So those of you that are normal and heroic raiders now, right? Again, we have this chat is really unique, where we have a really awesome community. We have really awesome players that are much better than myself here, right? Here, here's Checkmate, was once in top 30 US Guild, raid leader, main tank, still people every day. Yeah, that's what we do. We enjoy making you guys better. So yeah, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I don't care how long you've been playing this game. Don't be afraid to ask. I will still ask people if I need clarification, or ask players that are better than me for that kind of stuff. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow for some kind of stream. I'm off to Easter dinner. So have a good night. Be excellent to each other. And as always, live your life heroically. Good night, guys.